Well, I brought it a couple times.
Okay, we're rolling. How far did we get in Tobit?
I forgot to pay attention.
Not very far.
Yeah. We could just jump to chapter 2.
I think that's where we left off at, because he was my nephew and so a close relative.
Yeah.
I think that's the last of chapter 1.
Now, one of
I had
the,
a place marker in before that, so I don't know.
yeah, I had my marker in at chapter 2. And I'm trying to find, I was looking this over. Notice a lot of the people who are named are all in EL, which means God. So, these people who, in the first verse of the first chapter, this is the story of Tobit, son of Tobiel, son of Hamiel, son of Raphael, son of Regal, of the family of Asiel, and the tribe of Naphtali. He was taken captive in the time of the salamanders, that's not the way it's pronounced, but the king of Assyria from Thebes, and was taken north. Those people who were all named, they all ended in EL. So those, mean God is our strength, God is our hope. It's like Emmanuel, the church, means God with us. So when you see those names like that, you can tell that they were pretty solid Jews. I mean, to have names like that. Because when we go north and get into Assyria, you don't find a lot of people named that way. Now, chapter 2 is going to start off with, the first time I saw this, I thought, what in the heck is this all about? So, let's find out.
Okay. When I arrived home and my wife Anna and my son Tobias were restored to me at the Feast of Pentecost, which is the sacred festival of the 7 weeks, a good dinner was prepared for me and I sat down to eat.
Okay, we're going to stop right there. They're talking about Pentecost.
That's what I just noticed.
That's a Christian holiday. But Pentecost, this is a festival that takes place 7 weeks or 50 days after an event. In the Christian tradition, Pentecost takes place 7 weeks after the day of resurrection. Here, they're celebrating Pentecost because it follows the Festival of Weeks, which is a celebration for the harvest. So, but, it's funny, if you're not careful, you read this, we all know what Pentecost is, and we read that and it says, well, at the Festival of the Pentecost, we think, well, we know what that is. It's not the same Pentecost. We stole another term. So, we have to be careful when we read some of this stuff, that they're not referring to a Christian tradition. They're referring to a Jewish tradition, the Festival of Weeks. So, go on, Barbara.
Upon seeing the abundance of food, I said to my son, "Go and bring whatever poor man of our brethren you may find who is mindful of the Lord, and I will wait for you." But he came back and said, "Father, one of our people has been strangled and thrown into the marketplace." So before I tasted anything, I sprang up and removed the body to a place of shelter until sunset. And when I returned, I washed myself and ate my food in sorrow. Then I remembered the prophecy of Amos, how he said, Your feasts shall be turned into mourning, and all your festivities into lamentation. And I wept. When the sun had set, I went and dug a grave and buried the body. And my neighbors laughed at me and said, He is no longer afraid that he will be put to death for doing this. He once ran away, and here he is burying the dead again. On the same night I returned from burying him, and because I was defiled, I slept by the wall of the courtyard, and my face was uncovered. I did not know that there were sparrows on the wall, and their fresh droppings fell into my open eyes, and white films formed on my eyes. I went to physicians, but they did not help me. Ahikar, however, took care of me until he went to Elimas. Then my wife Anna earned money at women's work. She used to send the product to the owners. Once when they paid her wages, they also gave her a kid, and when she returned to me, it began to bleat. So I said to her, Where did you get the kid? It is not stolen, is it? Return it to the owners, for it is not right to eat what is stolen. And she said, It was given to me as a gift in addition to my wages. But I did not believe her and told her to return it to the owners, and I blushed for her. Then she replied to me, Where are your charities and your righteous deeds? You seem to know everything.
A know-it-all husband, imagine.
I'm sure there wasn't any of that. That wasn't the case in my family.
No. This, we may want to look a little bit at this. He finds this dead guy, finds the body. He hides it until after dark, and then he buries it. The Jews believed bodies should be buried. The Assyrians just throw them on a pile. I mean, they did not reverence the body the same way the Jews did. And for the Jews, you needed to be buried at sundown. I mean, you don't want to keep a body an extra day. When somebody dies, when a Jew dies, their burial should be almost immediate. And because he had touched a dead body, he was unclean. So that's why he slept outdoors. Because he had to go through the ritual of purification. But guess what? They didn't have those up in Assyria. So he was kind of stuck.
But they had sparrows.
But
they had sparrows.
Yeah. So, and then his wife does this work. She gets paid for it, and then she also gets, it says they gave her a kid. Isn't that what it said in your
A young goat, yeah.
Yeah.
Like a baby goat.
And that's what I wanted to point out, that it wasn't some orphan that they gave her. But what was the problem with that goat? It was bloodied.
It was bloody.
Isn't that what it said? When the wife came in, the kid began to bleed. I said bleat.
Bleat.
Not bleed. Okay.
That's the sound they make, right?
And so he says, I hope it was not stolen. Give it back to its owners. You have no right to eat anything stolen. So, because they don't know if it was stolen or not, they couldn't eat it. She assured it was given to her as a present, and I did not believe her and insisted that she give it back to the owners. And I blushed with shame for what she had done. She retorted, So much for all your good works and acts of charity. Now we can see what you are. Just like a wife.
Pretty sharp tongue.
Yes, yes. I mean, that's not real loving and support. But
He's not really picking on you, Barbara.
yeah, you would never do that.
He's just making sexist comments.
Yeah. So let's continue there with chapter 3.
Did he think that she stole the goat, or this goat was stolen by someone else before they gave it
Yeah,
to him?
she had received stolen goods.
Oh, because I thought, okay, I wasn't sure on that. That does make sense, I guess. Okay. Then in my grief I wept, and I prayed in anguish, saying, Righteous art thou, O Lord. All thy deeds and all thy ways are mercy and truth, and thou dost render true and righteous judgment forever. Remember me and look favorably upon me. Do not punish me for my sins and for my unwitting offenses, and those which my fathers committed before thee. For they disobeyed thy commandments, and thou gavest us over to plunder, captivity, and death. Thou madest us a byword of reproach in all the nations, among which we have been dispersed. And now thy many judgments are true in exacting penalty from me for my sins and those of my fathers, because we did not keep thy commandments. For we did not walk in truth before thee. And now deal with me according to thy pleasure. Command my spirit to be taken up, that I may depart and become dust. For it is better for me to die than to live, because I have heard false reproaches, and great is the sorrow within me. Command that I now be released from my distress, to go to the eternal abode. Do not turn thy face away from me. On the same day at
Let's stop. Your translation is a little different than what mine says. But is that somebody from California? Yeah, we've got Bible study going on.
Let me ask, can I ask you one more quick question? I just got, I got accepted at Alfacanos, the Oxford House, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
They might be able to help you in the office if you
oh,
go
there's an
to
office.
the door. Yeah, there's an office
Can I
back to the
have a
right.
cupcake?
Yes.
I can?
Yeah. You bet. He's talking about when he says, it's better I to be dead than alive, for I have here. Well, he's talking about his offenses have been so bad that he would like to go to his eternal home, Sheol. And that reminded me when I saw that. Charles loaned me Kathy's spiral binder that lists, I'll tell you, that woman was incredible. And we miss her as a person, but we miss the knowledge she brings to Bible study. But in there, I was looking through that, and one of the gods that's mentioned is Hades.
Who the gods?
Hades, yeah, it's a Greek or Roman god, Hades. Well, Hades was god of the underworld. Guess where we got hell? Hades, hell. God of the underworld. Because, when we grew up, heaven was up in the sky, but where was hell? In the center of the earth. And Hades was circled by sticks. Remember, there's a group called Styx?
Yeah.
Styx was the name of the river in Hades, and it circled the Greek god Hades 7 times. Now, I thought that was important because we talk about numbers, how important numbers are. The number 7 obviously was an important number for the Greeks, as well as the Christians. and the Romans and the Jews. So, but anyway, I thought when I saw that Sheol, or he wants to go to the place of the dead, it reminded me that I saw that, and I wanted to share that with you because we've talked about the devil. That may be a growth from the god of Hades. And Hades had a brother whose name was Poseidon, which was a great name for a movie. But he was the
God of the ocean.
He was god of the ocean. And Hades, god of the underworld, and the river Styx.
Which verse are you talking about with Hades? I can't find it in this.
Well, it doesn't say Hades or Sheol,
Oh.
but it's talking about in verse 6 that I may be removed from the face of the earth and turned to earth, that I should be better dead than alive. For I have had to hear underserved reproaches, and I am in great grief. Lord, command that I may be released from my misery. Let me go to my long home. And the long home is death.
This one says, release me to go to the eternal home.
But remember,
That's why I said he had a little different translation.
but remember, the Jews didn't have a heaven. They only had a place of the dead. And Sheol is considered to be the place of the dead. So, but anyway, I thought that was fascinating. And Kathy's still helping Bible study.
Yeah.
Now, when we start with verse 7, notice that the grammar is going to change. It's up to this point, it's always been the first person. I groaned, I prayed, I wept. After sunset, I went. Now, beginning with the 7th verse of chapter 3, it's going to go more like a story. You won't find the I. It's going to go into third person, I guess you could say. So let's pick up with.
On the same day at Ecbatana in Media, it also happened that Sarah, the daughter of Raguel, was reproached by her father's maids because she had been given to 7 husbands, and the evil demon Asmodeus had slain each of them before he had been with her as his wife. So the maids said to her, "Do you not know that you strangle your husbands? You already have had 7 and have had no benefit from any of them. Why do you beat us? If they are dead, go with them. May we never see a son or daughter of yours." When she heard these things, she was deeply grieved, even to the thought of hanging herself. But she said, "I am the only child of my father. If I do this, it will be a disgrace to him, and I shall bring his old age down in sorrow to the grave." So she prayed by her window and said, "Blessed art thou, O Lord my God, and blessed is thy holy and honored name forever. May all thy works praise thee forever. And now, O Lord, I have turned my eyes and my face toward thee. Command that I be released from the earth, and that I hear reproach no more. Thou knowest, O Lord, that I am innocent of any sin with a man, and that I did not stain my name or the name of my father in the land of my captivity. I am my father's only child, and he has no child to be his heir, no kinsman or kinsman's son, for whom I should keep myself as wife. Already 7 husbands of mine are dead. Why should I live? But if it be not pleasing to thee to take my life, command that respect be shown to me and pity be taken upon me, and that I hear reproach no more."
Okay, how many husbands does she have?
7.
7. Again, there 7 pops up. It's not just a Christian number. It's a Jewish number. That's important. Sarah, one of the commentaries says, Sarah, the name translates as princess. And that reminds me of a story that President Reagan had told about a woman who came to the priest of the church and she said, I want to be married in the church. And the priest said, you've been married 3 times. And she said, yes, but the marriage was never consummated. And the priest said, well, how's that? She said, well, her first husband, on the honeymoon night, he slipped in the bathtub, hit his head, and died. The second husband came out of the bathroom and got in bed, and before anything began, he just had a heart attack and died. And he said, the pastor said, or priest said, well, what about the third one? She goes, well, that's an interesting story. The third one is a Democrat. And he spent all night just telling me how great things were going to be. And I finally hit him and he's dead. I can't remember how that whole story
And you're
fits.
wondering why the fourth guy wants to marry her.
Yeah. Well, I just think it's hilarious that the third guy was a Democrat. And he was just telling me how great it was going to be. Never did anything, but he talked a good story about how great it was going to be. Reagan had some incredible stories.
Yeah, good sense of humor.
I'll tell you one more. This has nothing to do with Bible study, but he said at the Democrat convention, there was a little boy standing outside the arena, and he had a basket with little kittens in it. And he was saying, buy a kitten for $1. And he's selling a few. So 3 weeks later, the Republicans were having their convention in the same place. And this kid was back out with that basket of kittens. And somebody said, hey, I was here at the Democrat convention. They were $1. How come you're selling them for $5 now? And the kid said, because they got their eyes opened. They're Republicans. I'll tell you, that man had some funny stories.
Do you find it odd that they named the demon with the name Asmodeus?
Yes.
My memory ain't the greatest, but I don't remember too many places in the Bible where they named the demons
Mm-mm.
a name.
No. Remember when they had when Jesus got rid of the demon from this guy who was possessed,
And the pigs all
he set him into the pigs, and they all,
Yeah.
and the demons are saying, don't put us over there. Don't. For a couple reasons. One, pigs were considered unclean. These were Jewish demons. They didn't want to go in the pigs. And then the pigs went right off the cliff. Their eyes were opened.
I'm remembering Jesus or one of the apostles talking, and he said, "What's your name?" And he said, "Legion," I think.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yes.
But Legion, because there are so many of us.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really giving a name other than saying, there's a whole bunch of us. You can't remember all the names, but you're right. And, as I mentioned when I preached on the temptation, that's the only time Jesus was confronted by the devil. The rest of the time, the devil found other ways to try to get to him. But this time was, I got the feeling from the scripture, it's a face-to-face. If you do this, you will receive this. But when Jesus, after the third temptation, said, get behind me, Satan.
Satan's not considered a demon, is he?
Well,
Or is he the head?
Fallen angel.
Yeah. Which,
when that was, see, again, that's the Jews didn't really have it referred to as a demon, the devil. I mean, you don't find that talked about in Jewish literature. They just thought if you didn't do the right thing, you were falling prey to a temptation. And that was the problem that the Pharisees had with Jesus. Remember, the Pharisees were good lawyers. And they could, if you had committed a sin, broke the rule, the Mosaic rule, they'd go to the Pharisee, and the Pharisee would figure a way around it. You know, well, you didn't mean that with all your heart. I mean, so we'll absolve you a little bit. So, I forgot where we're at.
Verse 16.
Okay.
The prayer of both was heard in the presence of the glory of the great God, and Raphael was sent to heal the two of them, to scale away the white films from Tobit's eyes, to give Sarah the daughter of Raguel in marriage to Tobias the son of Tobit, and to bind Asmodeus the evil demon, because Tobias was entitled to possess her. At that very moment Tobit returned and entered his house, and Sarah the daughter of Raguel came down from her upper room.
Notice the Sarah's father's name ends in El,
Oh, yeah.
Ragiel. And let's see if I have the translation for that. Well, not only that, but the angel's name, Raphael.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll have to dig through here and find out what Raphael means. But it's, you know, we're dealing with an angel of God, and it may translate out God's, the handservant of God. But if I find that in here, I'll.
Someplace I read there were 7 angels of presence that were always in God's presence, or allowed to be, and Raphael was one of them.
Yeah. The cherubim were always in God's presence too, but the big angels, the archangels,
Yeah, right, the archangel.
they had a special spot, and you can.
There's a note in here that says Asmodeus means destroyer.
You know, see, all of these names have translations that it would be nice, rather than give us a name, if they put the translation in parentheses, so we would know what these mean.
It's funny that the angel is the healer
Mm-hmm.
and
But he was sent.
sent by God.
Yeah.
Maybe it was, oh. I was going to say maybe it was what's it called when Christ appears before he was actually born into human, pre-incarnate something.
Well, I found Raphael means God has healed.
Oh,
So, you know, that's why Raphael is sent, because he is the healer. So,
I've got a question off the subject, back in of 2 there, where you can't eat anything that's stolen.
with what?
You can't eat anything that was stolen.
No.
But when they were plundering and doing battle with other tribes or other people, and they took their stuff, they wouldn't eat it? Or is that what you're trying to say?
No, I'm sure they did. That's the difference between the Apocrypha and the Old Testament.
oh.
I mean, they were conquered, and it really wasn't stolen.
Okay.
Because it says one of the
The
commandments.
Pharisees were fine, the attorneys
Yeah.
were done to fine.
That's right. The commandment says, "Thou shalt not steal." I think it falls under the coveting.
But if you plunder in battle, then that's
Yeah.
not stealing.
Because as we get into some of the other books of the Apocrypha, when they start killing thousands and thousands of people, There couldn't have been that many people in the whole world at that time. But their armies were so powerful and God was with them. So, but it is that Raphael, that's an interesting realization that God is healing. Okay. Ruel. We had Ruel in there.
Raguel, Sarah's father.
Okay, that's the Greek form of the Aramaic Ruel, which means friend of God. Now, this commentary says that that's also the name of Moses' father-in-law. But he had a different name when we read it in Exodus. But we've got to remember that that name gets translated into Greek, and then we translate it. So, one of these, now we have friend of God. And okay, we begin chapter 4.
Okay. And on that day, Tobit remembered the money which he had left in trust with Gabael at Rages in Media. And he said to himself, I have asked for death. Why do I not call my son Tobias, so that I may explain to him about the money before I die? So he called him and said, My son, when I die, bury me and do not neglect your mother. Honor her all the days of your life. Do what is pleasing to her and do not grieve her. Remember, my son, that she faced many dangers for you while you were yet unborn. When she dies, bury her beside me in the same grave. Remember the Lord our God all your days, my son, and refuse to sin or to transgress his commandments. Live uprightly all the days of your life, and do not walk in the ways of wrongdoing. For if you do what is true, your ways will prosper through your deeds. Give alms from your possessions to all who live uprightly, and do not let your eye begrudge the gift when you make it. Do not turn your face away from any poor man, and the face of God will not be turned away from you. If you have many possessions, make your gift from them in proportion. If few, do not be afraid to give according to the little you have. So you will be laying up a good treasure for yourself against the day of necessity. For charity delivers from death and keeps you from entering the darkness. And for all who practice it, charity is an excellent offering in the presence of the Most High. Beware, my son, of all immorality. First of all, take a wife from among the descendants of your fathers, and do not marry a foreign woman who is not of your father's tribe, for we are the sons of the prophets. Remember, my son, that Noah, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, our fathers of old, all took wives from among their brethren. They were blessed in their children, and their posterity will inherit the land. So now, my son, love your brethren, and in your heart do not disdain your brethren and the sons and daughters of your people by refusing to take a wife for yourself from among them. For in pride there is ruin and great confusion, and in shiftlessness there is loss and great want, because shiftlessness is the mother of famine. Do not hold over till the next day the wages of any man who works for you, but pay him at once, and if you serve God, you will receive payment. Watch yourself, my son, in everything you do, and be disciplined in all your conduct. And what you hate, do not do to anyone. Do not drink wine to excess, or let drunkenness go with you on your way. Give of your bread to the hungry, and of your clothing to the naked. Give all your surplus to charity, and do not let your eye begrudge the gift when you make it. Place your bread on the grave of the righteous, but give none to sinners. Seek advice from every wise man, and do not despise any useful counsel. Bless the Lord God on every occasion. Ask him that your ways may be made straight, and that all your paths and plans may prosper. For none of the nations has understanding, but the Lord himself gives all good things, and according to his will he humbles whomever he wishes. So, my son, remember my commands, and do not let them be blotted out of your mind. And now let me explain to you about the 10 talents of silver, which I left in trust with Gabael, the son of Gabrias, at Rages in Media. Do not be afraid, my son, because we have become poor. You have great wealth if you fear God and refrain from every sin, and do what is pleasing in his sight.
Okay. The commentary points out that we have a series of maxims in the speech that Tobit is giving to his son. Right off the bat, he talks about the duty to his parents. And then he moves on to the pursuit of uprightness and the giving of alms, avoidance of fornication, marriage within the ancestral family, a love of kindred, avoidance of pride, sloth, and drunkenness, the prompt payment of wages, the golden rule, the praise, reverence, and trust of God. And many of these things we can find also in Proverbs. This just wonderful collection of stories is also in Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus. And it's also found in other Near Eastern wisdom. So, these are not just Jewish words of advice, but they're good rules to follow in living. That, you need to be someone of honor. Follow the golden rule. Avoid drunkenness. Love your family. Love your parents. Marry within the ancestral family. This is what was done. I mean, remember, one of the, was it Esau, who, when he got cheated out of his inheritance, he left and then he married someone from Egypt. And so he was always kind of odd man out. So, here we have these guidelines that a good Jew would follow. Yes, Charles.
I come up, growing up with, sticks and stones would break my bones.
Mm-hmm.
And I added, my honor you'll never get.
Yeah, that's right.
That's good.
Okay, we'll pick up with chapter 5. I can't believe we're going as slow as we are with Tobit. But we've, tell a few stories from Reagan. But we'll pick up next week with chapter 5.
You gonna be